They say weddings bring out the best in people. That's a lie. Weddings are like pressure cookers, everyone smiles while slowly boiling inside. And some of us? We don't boil. We explode. It started with a dress. A stupid, overpriced, pastel pink nightmare of a bridesmaid dress that made me look like a drunk flamingo. I was standing in the bridal suite at the Willows Estate, 23 miles outside Chicago, pretending to adore the silk monstrosity clinging to my thighs like desperation. I smiled at my best friend, the bride, my perfect little sunshine, Julia. Of course her name was Julia. No one named Julia has ever had a bad hair day or been dumped via text. She stood in front of the mirror glowing like some Pinterest mood board come to life. I used to think she was my person. Then she got engaged. I'm so glad you're here, Claire, she said, squeezing my hands with those dainty fingers that had never held a bottle of antidepressants in a Walmart bathroom stall. I almost choked on this champagne, because I wasn't glad to be here. I was here to make sure this wedding, this parade of curated perfection, would be unforgettable. Just, not in the way Julia hoped. You ever feel invisible next to someone? Like you're a supporting actress in your own life? That's what being Julia's best friend feels like. Except today, I decided I was done being background noise. Don't get me wrong, I didn't plan to burn the place down. I just wanted a few hiccups. A little chaos. Enough to put a smudge on her flawless Instagram fairy tale. Like loosening the clasp on her designer heels. Or accidentally misplacing the vows. Nothing illegal. Just poetic. But what happened next? I couldn't have scripted it if I tried. It started small, her zipper broke. I didn't touch it. I swear. Julia turned, looked at me, and the zipper gave up like it knew something I didn't. There was a gasp, a tear, and then, laughter. Honest, belly-shaking laughter from Julia. The photographer snapped a candid. This is so us, she giggled. Strike one, fine. Plan B. Later, during makeup, I accidentally swapped the setting spray with hair gel. The makeup artist panicked, tried to fix it, and somehow gave Julia the most radiant glow I've ever seen. Dewy, bronzed, like a sun-kissed goddess. The makeup artist said it was a miracle save. Strike two. I needed to recalibrate. The wedding hadn't even started, and already the universe was flipping me off with both hands. That's when I noticed the ring bearer, a gremlin of a child named Tucker with ADHD and a vendetta against formality. Perfect, I leaned in and whispered, bet the cake has toys inside. Want to check early? His eyes lit up like Christmas. 10 minutes later, Tucker was caught under the dessert table, face covered in fondant, holding a toppled 3-tier wedding cake like it owed him money. Julia? She clapped. Oh my God, it's even better than the fake one we had for photos. Tucker, you little angel. The bakery offered to rush over a replacement. The guests cheered. The blooper reel was building. And I felt something twist in my chest. Was this wedding unsinkable? I should have stopped. I should have seen the pattern. But like any good disaster in motion, I couldn't look away. Or walk away. The universe wasn't just protecting Julia, it was practically giving her a standing ovation. Every mess I made turned into a highlight. But I still had one ace up my satin sleeve, the toast. No matter how perfect the venue, the flowers, the playlist, words have power. One wrong phrase, one slightly too honest memory, and bam, tension, gasps, family feuds. I'd seen it happen before. Hell, I'd caused it before. So when the DJ handed me the mic and announced me as Claire, the bride's ride or die since high school, I smiled like a villain in heels. Showtime. I took a breath, let the pause stretch a beat too long, then launched in. Julia and I met when we were 15. She was the girl who loaned me a tampon and made me laugh while I cried in a school bathroom. A few chuckles. Good, she taught me how to curl my hair, how to drive a stick shift, and how to fake a smile when your heart's broken. A murmur now. That edge of discomfort. Excellent, she was there for me through my darkest moments. Even that night I begged her not to get back together with. I looked at the groom. Someone coughed, with a guy who didn't know her worth yet. But you know what? He learned. He really, really learned. I held his stare for a second too long. Julia looked between us, confused. The room was quiet. Finally, then someone started clapping. Then another. And another applause. The groom, Tyler, stood up and hugged me. "I'll spend the rest of my life proving her worth," he said, loudly, like a damn movie character. "Thanks for holding me accountable, Claire." My eye twitched. Julia cried. Like, actual tears. She ran over, mascara perfect, and hugged me like I just donated a kidney. "That was the best speech I could have asked for," she whispered. "What?" No. No, I'd just called out her fiancé in front of 112 people. I was supposed to be the storm cloud. The uncomfortable truth. The exhumed drama. Instead, I was a hero. I downed the rest of my champagne, which I now suspected was laced with witchcraft, and made my way to the restroom. I needed air. I needed silence. I needed, Claire. A voice behind me. I turned. It was Hannah. Julia's cousin. The one with the podcast. She had that too perceptive glint in her eye, like a human lie detector with winged eyeliner. "You're not happy for her," she said quietly. I froze. "I know that look. You wanted to break something today. Maybe someone." She leaned in, conspiratorial. "Question is, why didn't it work?" My mouth went dry. Because I didn't know. And worse, I didn't like the answer crawling into my brain. Maybe the problem wasn't Julia. Maybe it was me. I ducked into the coat room like it was a bunker and I was dodging enemy fire. The smell of vanilla perfume, dry cleaning, and secrets hit me like a wave. I needed a reset. A moment. A scream. Instead, I found Tyler, the groom, standing alone, scrolling his phone like he wasn't 2 hours away from legally binding himself to a woman who thought he was a reformed project. "Lost?" I asked. He looked up. Smiled. That charming, politician's smile that always seemed just slightly too calculated, just hiding. "You know how weddings are." "Do I?" He gestured at the rows of coats. "You too?" I shrugged. "Avoiding people who think I'm emotionally stable." He laughed. And for a second, just a second, I forgot why I hated him. "Listen," he said, putting the phone away, "about your toast, you weren't wrong. I was an idiot back then. But you? You were the only one who called me on it." I blinked. "That's supposed to make me feel better?" "No," he said, suddenly serious. "It's supposed to make you think." He stepped closer. "Why didn't you ever say anything back then? About me? About how you felt?" "Felt?" My mouth went dry. This wasn't in the plan. Flirting with the groom? That was amateur hour sabotage. Besides, Tyler and I? That was ancient history. A mistake sealed in a bottle of tequila and locked in a vault labeled "Never speak of this again." Except now, he was looking at me like he remembered it too. "I'm marrying her," he said quietly. "But if I'm honest, I never stopped wondering what it would have been like with you." My stomach flipped. I wanted to slap him. I wanted to kiss him. I wanted to scream into one of these overpriced faux fur coats and disappear for a decade. Instead, I whispered, "Then why didn't you choose me?" He smiled, sad this time. "Because you never made it easy." He left before I could respond. Left me standing there, heart-punching ribs, brain short circuiting. My sabotage plans had officially imploded. This wasn't about a wedding anymore. This was about history. About me being the side character in someone else's romance, twice, and now I was the villain. I looked at myself in the mirror between the coats. I didn't see a bitter friend or a failed saboteur. I saw someone who never healed. Someone who built a life around someone else's light, and resented the warmth. But before I could spiral into a full-blown existential meltdown, something thudded against the coat room door, then a scream, then, silenced. I opened the door slowly and saw the flower girl standing alone in the hallway, eyes wide, pointing. "There's blood," she whispered. "By the cake." I followed the flower girl's trembling finger, my heels clicking against the marble like gunshots in a church. And there it was, just past the dessert table, near where the ruined cake had been cleared. A smear of blood, bright, stark, jagged across the pristine white tablecloth like an insult. What happened? I asked, too sharp, too fast. The little girl shrugged, like maybe she thought it was part of the decoration. A rustic murder sheet touch. Her mother swooped in and whisked her away before I could ask more. I crouched. The blood wasn't fresh. Maybe 10, 15 minutes old. But it was real. Still sticky. Still warm. A waiter approached with a tray of champagne flutes. I stood up fast. Did someone get hurt over here? He blinked. Maybe? A guy tripped earlier. Knocked over a knife. Thought he just cut his hand. Who? Groomsman, I think. Dark hair. Kinda twitchy? Max, of course. Max, Tyler's best man and resident ex-dealer turned crypto visionary. He had all the stability of a wet paper bag and a known habit of disappearing when things got weird. I scanned the crowd. No one had seen him for half an hour. I slipped away from the main hall, down a side hallway that led toward the back garden and smoking area. The venue's music grew fainter with every step. I could hear my heartbeat again. The garden was empty. Cold. The kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful, just wrong. That's when I saw it. A flash of movement behind the hedge. I followed it, slowly, heels in hand now, breathing shallow. Around the corner, I spotted a figure hunched near the fence. Back to me, Max? No response. I stepped closer. Hey, are you? He turned. Not Max, some random dude in a hoodie, eyes wide like headlights. Whoa. I thought I was alone, he said. You scared the crap out of me. Have you seen Max? The best man? Nope. Sorry. I needed a break. Too many people. I nodded, watching his hands. They were shaking. Fast. He was holding a cigarette. Unlit. He wasn't a smoker. I backed away slowly. Thanks. I re-entered the venue through the side door, heart still racing, mind spiraling. Was this all in my head? Just trauma? Or was something actually off? I found Julia near the bar, radiant and carefree, dancing with her father to a Sinatra cover. I watched her twirl in slow motion. Untouchable. Perfect. Oblivious. I opened my phone, texted Max, "Where are you?" "Everything okay?" No response. Then a new message popped up. Not from Max, from an unknown number. One image. It was Max's groomsman boutonniere. Crushed. Bloody. On the ground. Next to a ring box. No caption. No context, just that. I stared at it, my fingers suddenly numb. The universe wasn't flipping me off anymore. It was warning me. I stared at the photo like it was a hallucination. My thumb hovered over the screen, but I didn't dare reply. Who would I even be replying to? I scanned the room again. Everyone was smiling, laughing, clinking glasses. Julia was now slow dancing with Tyler, and the whole room watched them like they were America's next royal couple. If they only knew. I pocketed the phone and made my way to the bridal suite. No one stopped me. I walked like I had a mission, which I did, kind of, and when people think you're helping the bride, they assume you're doing something holy. Inside the suite, the air was still, untouched. Lipsticks on the counter. A champagne bottle half empty. Julia's makeup bag wide opened. I opened her phone. No passcode. Classic Julia. Still trusted the world to be kind. I checked her messages. Nothing from Max. Nothing weird. Then I checked her notes app, and that's where things got strange. There was one locked note. Titled, "If anything happens." My stomach dropped. I needed a password. Tried the wedding date. No. Her birthday. No. My birthday. Still no. I stopped. What kind of bride writes something like that on her wedding day? A knock at the door. I slammed the phone down and turned. It was Hannah. The cousin. Podcast eyes back again. "You're not the only one who noticed something's off," she said, stepping inside. "What do you mean?" She held up her phone. On it, a video. Grainy. Dark. Taken maybe 10 minutes ago. In it, Max, clearly agitated, was yelling at someone out of frame. The audio was garbage, but I caught fragments. She can't know, wasn't supposed to be here, deals off. Then Max froze, turned sharply, and ran off. Hannah paused the video. I followed him as far as the parking lot. Then he vanished. I took a shaky breath. Who was he talking to? I thought you might know. I didn't. But I had a terrible, creeping feeling I was about to find out. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. This time, it was a video. I pressed play. The camera moved shakily through what looked like the venue's wine cellar. The light was dim, almost gone, but I could hear muffled breathing. And a voice whispering, "She was never supposed to find this." Then, nothing black. I looked at Hannah. You still recording everything for your podcast? She nodded slowly. Good, I said. Because something's really wrong here. And I think Julia's in danger. That's when the lights went out, all of them. The entire venue plunged into darkness, and somewhere outside, a woman screamed. Darkness has a sound. It's not silence, it's panic breathing, heels on tile, someone whispering your name when no one's supposed to be there. The venue's emergency lights finally kicked in with a low hum, casting everything in a horror movie glow, dim, reddish, unsettling. Like we'd all just crossed into a different genre. I grabbed Hannah's arm. We need to find Julia. Now. But before we could move, Tyler came charging down the hallway, wild-eyed, tie undone, sweat clinging to his collar. Have you seen Max? He was looking directly at me. Almost through me. No, I said. Not since earlier. He stared a moment too long. If you know something, you need to tell me. This isn't just about us anymore. What is it about, Tyler? I asked, stepping toward him. Because from where I'm standing, this day's gone from rom-com to true crime real fast. He looked at Hannah, then back at me. Something cracked in his face, not panic. Guilt. You remember last year, he said. When I disappeared for 3 weeks? Told Julia I was finding myself? I nodded. Everyone remembered. It was peak Julia meltdown season. I wasn't at a retreat, he said. I was in rehab. Court mandated. Because Max and we were moving money. Dirty money. Stupid money. My stomach turned. You dragged Julia into a marriage while hiding that? I wanted out, he said. But Max wouldn't let me. He said if I walked, everything would come crashing down, for all of us. What does that have to do with now? Tyler hesitated. Julia found out 2 days ago. Somehow. She said she was going through with the wedding anyway, said she'd handle it. And then she stopped talking to me. Just smiled like nothing was wrong. He looked haunted. Now Max is gone, and someone's sending photos of blood and rings to your phone? Claire, I think something bad is coming. And I don't think Julia's as innocent as you think. Why would she go through with the wedding if she knew? He looked me dead in the eyes. Maybe she wanted an audience. Before I could reply, a scream echoed from the reception hall. But this time, it wasn't vague, it was real. Raw. Human. We ran toward the sound. Pushed through a tangle of confused guests and overturned chairs. There, on the floor near the cake table, where the blood had been hours ago, was a body. Max eyes open, mouth frozen mid-sentence, neck twisted. Wrong. Dead for real. Someone screamed again, someone fainted. Hannah recorded, and Julia was standing perfectly still, hands folded in front of her, staring at the body like she'd been expecting it. No tears. No shock, just calm. She looked up, locked eyes with me, and smiled. Finally, she said softly. Now the truth can start. I couldn't breathe. Max, dead. Julia, calm. Tyler, shaking, and me, stuck in the middle of a wedding that had turned into a crime scene, a secret exposé, and maybe, just maybe, an execution. I moved toward Julia, slowly, like she was a wild animal I didn't want to spook. Julia, I said carefully. What's going on? She didn't look at me. Just kept staring at Max like she was calculating something. Or savoring it. He was always the weak link, she whispered. What? She finally turned to me, and her eyes, they weren't cold. They were lit. Like something inside her had been waiting a long, long time to be set free. I know about everything, Claire. The money. The drugs. The offshore accounts. The women. The retreat. I know what Tyler and Max did. And I know how you looked at him. She didn't mean Max, she meant Tyler. Julia, I started. No. Don't, she said, voice low but sharp. Don't pretend like you were just collateral. I've seen the texts. From years ago. I know about the night in Denver. You were always waiting for your moment. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. She smiled. Relax. I'm not going to kill you. Good to know. She gestured at the guests, now herded away by venue staff and security. But I am going to burn this whole fairy tale down. Because people like Tyler and Max? They get away with everything. They charm and lie and cover it up with champagne and Instagram captions. She stepped closer, but not this time. This time, I made sure there were witnesses. Hannah's podcast. Your toast. The cameras. The paper trail. Max was ready to flip on Tyler, so I gave him a nudge. And now, Tyler's little empire is about to collapse. You killed Max? Julia looked at me like I'd asked if she knew the weather. I let karma do what it does. I just opened the door. Tyler stumbled toward us. You set this all up? Julia turned, face glowing. Of course I did, darling. You think I planned a 6-figure wedding just to be your accessory? I planned it to be your reckoning. She turned to the guests, raised her hands, and spoke like she was on stage. Everyone, thank you for coming. We'll be pausing the reception briefly. The FBI will be here in about 20 minutes. In the meantime, please enjoy the signature cocktails. The bloody groom is especially fitting. Gasps, phones out. Recording. Tyler backed away, pale, broken. You ruined me, he croaked. Julia shrugged. No. You ruined yourself. I just sent the invitations. She turned to me. And you? I flinched. You always wanted to be in the spotlight, she said. Well, congratulations. You're part of the finale now. And with that, she walked away, slow, proud, unstoppable, like a bride marching down the aisle, toward vengeance. The reception hall was chaos. People half gathered around the bar, murmuring in disbelief. Some still thought it was performance art. Others were already calling lawyers. Tyler sat slumped in a corner, a man publicly and thoroughly destroyed. Hannah's podcast mic was clipped to her blazer, catching every word. This is gonna hit #1 by morning, she muttered, almost reverently. And Julia, she was back on the dance floor alone, spinning slowly to a song no one could hear but her. I stood at the edge, not sure if I was the villain or just the idiot in the wrong chapter of someone else's revenge novel. Then I felt a vibration in my pocket. One new message, blocked number, check the safe. My breath caught. I knew what safe they meant. The tiny one in the manager's office. I'd seen it earlier when I pretended to lose my lipstick, and because I'd already peeked once today, I still had the code. I slipped out of the hall while everyone else stayed hypnotized by Julia's spiraling performance. Inside the office, I knelt, typed in the numbers, click. Inside the safe, a flash drive. Labeled with one word, Claire. My blood turned to ice. I plugged it into the office laptop. Folders, photos, emails, voice recordings, and video. A grainy one, dated 2 years ago. Me. Tyler. A hotel room. Laughing. Drunk. Too close. I hit paused. It wasn't just incriminating. It was evidence. The door creaked open behind me. Julia, I told you you'd be part of the finale, she said, almost gently. You were never just getting revenge, I whispered. No, she said. I was building my own empire. See, men like Tyler always think they're the puppet masters. But I had strings too. I just made mine prettier. She walked over, took the flash drive, and slipped it into her bouquet. This wedding wasn't about love, she said. It was about truth. The kind that ruins reputations. Or podcasts. I blinked. Hannah? She thinks she's in control. but that mic she's wearing? Julia smiled. Custom made. I've been recording her since the bridal shower. What do you want from me? She looked me dead in the eyes. I want you to tell the world what happened here. Not because you're guilty, though you are, but because no one will believe me unless it comes from someone broken. Silence. Then she kissed me on the cheek like a mob boss at a funeral. Congratulations, Claire. You're the maid of dishonor. She turned, heels clicking like gunshots on tile, and just before she walked out the door, the FBI stormed in, guns drawn. Vests tight, federal agents. Nobody move. I stood there, hands up, but numb. Julia raised her arms with a serene smile. Right on time, she said. They arrested Tyler. Hannah's podcast crashed from being flagged in a federal investigation. The video of the wedding went viral, dubbed the Vow Vengeance Files. And me? I told the story just like she wanted, and every night since, I still hear her words. Something borrowed. Something blue, something broken. And that was you.
If you liked the story, subscribe to our channel and share your impressions in the comments. It's important for us to know which stories will be interesting to you. We try to post new stories every day.